Okay, so everyone's talking about these crazy powerful language models, right? The ones that can remember like a whole book's worth of text.
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone's saying that because of that,
Mm-hmm.
our gag is, retrieval-augmented generation
Yeah.
is kind of dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like, why even bother grabbing specific chunks of info when you can just, like, feed the whole enchilada to the LLM?
Right.
But hold on, because today we're going to challenge that.
Okay.
We're going deep on this new paper
All right.
called In Defense of R in the Era of Long Context Language Models.
Interesting.
And this isn't just for the AI nerds out there, by the way.
Right.
This is about how information gets processed.
Uh-huh.
And that has huge implications for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Even you listening right now.
It's true.
So what's funny to me is this assumption that more information automatically equals better results.
Yeah.
Like, imagine trying to find a fact by reading the entire Library of Congress.
Oh, gosh.
Not really a good use of time. So remind me, what exactly is RAG again?
So RAG is like,
Yeah.
it's like having a super smart research assistant.
Okay.
Instead of overwhelming the language model with everything,
Right.
RAG finds the most relevant pieces of information within a larger document.
So it's about being picky,
Yeah, it's about being selective.
not just throwing data at the problem.
Right, exactly.
So this paper is arguing that even with these crazy LLMs with huge context windows,
Yeah,
RAG still has a place at the table.
it does.
It's their main point.
The main idea is that longer context windows,
Mm-hmm.
even those massive 128K ones,
Yeah.
don't always mean better answers.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes too much information can actually make things worse.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack the size of Texas.
Okay, yeah, I get that. You
Yeah.
need a way to narrow it down.
You do.
So how does RAG help with that?
This paper introduces a new concept.
Okay.
It's called order-preserving RAG, or OP-RAG for short.
OP-RAG.
Yeah. And it's not just about what information is retrieved,
Uh-huh.
but the order it's given to the LLM.
OP-RAG. That sounds interesting.
It is interesting.
Break it down for me.
So imagine you are highlighting the most important sentences in a long document.
Okay, got it.
Now, imagine someone coming along and shuffling all those sentences randomly.
Oh, man.
You'd lose all context, the
Yeah.
flow of information.
Total jumbled mess.
Totally.
So OP-RAG is like giving the LLM a cheat sheet
Yes.
with all the right answers
Yes.
highlighted in the right order.
Exactly.
That's smart.
It's about presenting the information in a coherent way.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it can follow the thread.
Right.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah.
But does it actually work?
It does.
Like, are the results that much better?
Yeah, they are.
Really?
Yeah. The researchers found what they called a Goldilocks zone of information,
Okay.
which basically means there's an optimal amount of context you want to feed the LLM.
Not too much, not too little.
Exactly.
Right.
They visualized it with an inverted U-shaped curve.
Interesting.
As you add more relevant chunks, the answer quality goes up.
Okay.
But then if you keep adding more, it starts to decline.
So there's a point where more information becomes a bad thing.
It can, yeah.
It's pretty counterintuitive.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned it was even beating those massive long context models.
It was.
Give me the
And
details.
so the researchers compared OP-RAG
Okay.
using the Llama 3.170B model
Yeah.
to giants like GPT-4o and Gemini 1.5 Pro.
Okay.
And even though OP-RAG is working with far fewer input tokens,
Uh-huh.
it actually outperforms them in some cases.
No way.
Yeah.
David beating Goliath.
Give me some numbers.
Okay, so let's look at the
Okay.
NQA dataset
Yeah.
from the Infinity benchmark.
Okay.
OP-RAG using only 16K retrieved tokens achieved an F1 score of 44.43.
Okay.
Llama 3.170B, using its full 128K context window, only reached 34.32.
And even GPT-4o only managed a score of 32.36.
Wait, so you're telling me that this simpler approach
Yeah.
with OP-RAG actually beat those fancy models by like 10 percentage points?
It did, yeah.
In accuracy, that's incredible.
It highlights how important it is to organize and present information correctly,
Yeah.
even for these super advanced language models.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah,
It sounds like OP-RAG is a game changer.
I think so.
But this can't just be about making AI smarter, right?
Right.
What does this mean for the average person?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're researching for a big presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you rather skim every single document on the topic,
No.
hoping you catch the key points?
No way.
Or would you prefer having a tool that summarizes the most important takeaways
Yes.
and presents them in a clear,
Yeah.
concise, and logical order.
That sounds way better.
It does.
Especially when I'm on a deadline.
Right?
You wouldn't want a super efficient research assistant.
That's what OpiRag does for LLMs.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just about AI.
No.
It's about making information itself more accessible and usable for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
This OpiRag thing is really making me rethink how I approach learning in general.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away,
Okay.
singing OpiRag's praises,
Uh-huh.
the paper also mentions something called self-root.
Yeah, they do.
I'm curious to hear your take on how that fits into all this.
Okay, yeah.
So self-root was another approach
Yeah.
that they compared to OpiRag.
Right.
Essentially, the model itself decides whether to use RAG or just rely on its own internal knowledge.
Its own knowledge, right?
Like its massive context window
Yeah.
that we talked about.
Yeah.
So the model is essentially evaluating the task and deciding,
Right.
okay, do I need to call in my research assistant
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
can I handle it on my own?
Yeah, like that.
But the really surprising thing is that even this seemingly intelligent approach was outperformed by OpiRag in some cases.
Interesting.
It's like the model is underestimating the value of getting that extra help,
Uh-huh.
even when it thinks it has enough information.
Right.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So even in the age of these massive language models,
Yeah.
knowing how to find and organize information
Yeah.
is still crucial.
Absolutely.
This is all so fascinating.
It is.
And I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have a lot more to talk about.
We'll have to continue our deep dive after a quick break.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about OpiRag and how it's kind of shaking things up in the AI world.
Yeah, it's really making people rethink things.
It is. It's interesting how
Yeah.
a technique like OpiRag,
Right.
which has been around for a while, can still hold its own against those cutting-edge, long context models.
It's a good reminder that bigger isn't always better.
It's true.
Sometimes it's about using the right tool for the job,
Absolutely.
even if it's not the newest or flashiest.
Right. And OpiRag really highlights the
Yeah.
importance of information retrieval
Yeah.
and how we organize what we know.
Mhm.
Even with these vast amounts of data,
Right.
these powerful language models still need information
Yeah.
to be carefully selected and presented
Right.
in a way that makes sense.
It's like having a super organized filing system.
Yeah,
You might have tons of information, but if it's all jumbled up, it's not very helpful.
exactly.
So OpiRag provides that way to you know, filter, prioritize, and structure information.
It does.
So it's more digestible,
Yes.
more actionable.
Yeah.
Instead of just drowning in data,
Right.
we can focus on what truly matters.
Exactly.
So you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that they compared OpiRag
Uh-huh.
to another approach
Yeah.
called self-root.
Right.
Can you remind us what that's all about?
Of course. So self-root lets the language model decide
Okay.
whether to use RAG or rely solely on its own internal knowledge.
That massive context window we talked about.
Exactly.
So the model is essentially
Yeah.
evaluating the task and being like,
Uh-huh.
okay, do I need to call on my research assistant for this one?
Right.
Or can I handle it on my own?
Exactly.
It's a really clever way to try and get the best of both worlds. you know?
Yeah.
The efficiency of long context models combined with the targeted knowledge retrieval of RAG.
Absolutely.
And you said OPA actually outperformed self-root in some cases.
It did, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's like the model is underestimating the value of getting that extra help,
Right.
even when it thinks it has enough information.
Yeah, so interesting.
It speaks to
Yeah.
the complexity of information processing,
Okay.
even with, advanced AI knowing when you need extra knowledge
Right.
isn't always clear cut.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most important information
Right.
is hidden deep within a data set. And even the model's self-assessment can miss it.
This is really making me think.
It is interesting.
It seems like even the most advanced AI systems
Yeah.
have their limitations.
Oh, wow.
They're still learning, still evolving,
Right.
still making mistakes,
Yeah.
which honestly makes this whole field even more exciting.
It does.
We're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, we are.
So let's zoom out for a sec
Okay.
and talk big picture.
Okay.
What are the implications of all this research?
Well, this work has huge implications for how we design and interact with AI systems.
Okay.
It suggests we need to move beyond simply making language models bigger.
Right.
Instead, we need to focus on developing
Yeah.
intelligent retrieval and organization mechanisms.
So it's not just about making AI smarter.
Right.
It's about making information itself
Yeah.
more accessible and usable, even for us humans.
For everyone, exactly.
Imagine search engines that don't just give you like a million results, but actually understand what you're looking for and deliver the most relevant information in an easy-to-digest way. Think about educational tools that personalize learning based on your needs and style.
Yeah, that would be great.
What if information overload became a thing of the past because AI helps us navigate the complexities of knowledge?
It would change everything.
Wow, that would be a game changer.
Yeah.
But how do we actually get there?
Well, one promising area is developing more sophisticated retrieval algorithms. We need algorithms that go beyond simple keyword matching or semantic similarity. We need algorithms that can understand the intent behind a query and retrieve information that's not just relevant, but also insightful and actionable.
So we need to go beyond just finding information to actually understanding its meaning and value in a specific context. Another exciting area is developing personalized information filtering systems. Imagine an AI that learns your interests, your learning style, even your goals. And then tailors the information it gives you.
That would be amazing.
It's like having a personal librarian.
Yeah.
Or research assistant available 24/7.
It would be great.
Now, that's a future I can get behind.
Me too.
It's not just about convenience. It's about empowering people to become more efficient learners and better decision makers.
I agree.
You know, it seems like OP-RAG is more than just a technical innovation. It's a philosophical one, too.
It is.
It's challenging us to rethink how we relate to information and how AI can enhance our cognitive abilities.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've talked about technical details, the real-world implications, even the philosophical side of OP-RAG.
We have.
But I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on how all of this connects back to those massive, long context language models we started with, you know, at the beginning.
It's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the specifics and lose sight of the bigger picture. So this research is groundbreaking because it challenges this idea that simply increasing a language model's context window will automatically lead to better performance.
We're all like, bigger is better.
More is better.
Or context is always good. But now we're seeing there's a more nuanced story here.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of scientific discovery. We're always refining our understanding, questioning assumptions, uncovering new insights.
It's an ongoing process.
It is.
So if bigger isn't always better, what's the real takeaway here?
I think the takeaway is that context is still incredibly important.
Okay.
But it's not just about the raw amount of information.
It's about the quality,
Okay.
the relevance, and how that information is organized.
Okay.
OPR shows that even with a smaller amount of carefully selected and ordered context, we can get amazing results.
So it's not just about the size of the language model's brain. It's about how effectively it can access and process information.
Exactly.
It's like having a photographic memory is great, but it's useless without the ability to analyze, synthesize, apply that information.
Exactly.
That leads to an interesting question.
What's that?
Will we see a shift away from those massive language models towards smaller, more specialized models?
Interesting.
Designed to work with sophisticated retrieval systems.
It's possible.
So instead of one giant AI trying to do everything, we might have teams of specialized AI working together, each with its own strengths. And OP-RAG and other,
Retrieval-augmented techniques could be the glue that holds these specialized systems together, allowing them to share information and collaborate effectively. This is so fascinating.
It is.
It feels like we're on the verge of a major paradigm shift in AI.
It does feel that way.
And it's all happening thanks to this renewed appreciation for information retrieval and organization.
It's true.
Who would have thought that a technique like R, which some people wrote off, would become so central to AI's future?
It's amazing how things come full circle. It's a good reminder to never underestimate the power of a good idea, even if it's not the latest trend.
Well said.
Thank you.
It seems like every time we think we have AI figured out, something new comes along to challenge our assumptions and push the boundaries even further.
It's what keeps things exciting.
There's always something new to learn. Always another layer to uncover. Well, listeners, I don't know about you, but my brain is buzzing with ideas. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical intricacies of OP-ARG to its potential to reshape how we interact with information. We're going to take a moment to gather our thoughts, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final reflections and a thought-provoking question to leave you pondering. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. So we've been talking all about retrieval-augmented generation.
We have.
And how it's changing what we thought we knew about AI. And how we deal with information.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting conversation.
It's pretty remarkable how a technique like RAG, which some folks thought was outdated,
kind of old news,
is now super important to how AI is evolving.
It really is.
You know, it just shows that sometimes the best solutions are the ones we've had all along.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out how to use them.
Find new ways to apply them.
Exactly.
For sure.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to that Goldilocks zone of information idea.
Oh, yeah.
It really got me thinking because it's so relevant to, you know, our daily lives, not just AI.
It is. This idea that there's that sweet spot when it comes to how much information we take in has implications for how we learn and make decisions.
Especially now when we're constantly bombarded with info.
It's everywhere.
From every direction.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of like,
I know.
Well, the more info I have, the better.
Right.
But then you just end up...
You end up overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Yeah, confused. Not actually more informed.
Not at all.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
Scrolling endlessly online.
Down the rabbit hole.
Clicking link after link.
And then hours later, you're like, wait, what was I doing?
Right. More lost than when you started.
Totally lost.
That's the Goldilocks zone.
Inaction.
Or I guess in that case.
Or inaction.
Inaction. Yeah. It just highlights how important it is.
I know, right?
To be selective.
Yes.
Strategic. About the information we consume.
And how we organize it.
Yeah, we can't just passively absorb everything that comes at us.
No, you can't.
We need to be more discerning.
Yes.
Learn how to filter and prioritize.
Yeah, have a filter.
Okay, let's get practical.
Okay.
How can we apply this Goldilocks zone principle in our own lives?
So one of the most important things is to be clear about your goals.
Oh.
What are you actually trying to achieve?
Right.
Why are you looking for this information?
Yeah.
Once you know why you're doing it, it's so much easier to find what's relevant and filter out all the distractions.
Like having that research question in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you even start looking.
Right.
That way you can be like, okay, is this info actually useful?
Yeah. Does it relate?
Yeah, is it worth my time?
Yes, exactly.
Another helpful thing is breaking down those big topics.
The complex topics?
Yeah, the complicated ones.
Break them down.
Into smaller, easier chunks.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to learn, like, everything at once.
Right.
You focus on one concept at a time.
One thing at a time.
I think a lot of us.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Try to cram too much in at once.
We do.
Thinking that's the best way to learn quickly.
Right.
But it usually backfires.
It does.
You just end up overwhelmed and you retain less.
Totally.
In the long run.
Yeah.
Deep, meaningful learning.
Right.
Takes time and patience.
It does.
It's better to really understand a few key things.
Absolutely.
Than to just skim over a ton of topics.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity when it comes to information.
And the info we consume.
And the time we spend with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't underestimate good organization either.
Oh, that's so true.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Outlines. Mind maps.
Yeah. Whatever helps you make sense of it all.
It's like creating a framework.
Yes.
To help you remember things.
Right, so you can easily find what you need.
Like building your own personal library.
Yeah.
Organized and easy to navigate.
I love that analogy.
Those are great tips.
I hope so.
I'm definitely going to try and be more mindful.
Yeah.
About how I learn.
Me too.
It's really cool to think that we can use these same principles that are being used to make AI better.
Right.
To also improve how we learn.
Absolutely.
Just like those advanced language models.
Right.
Us humans are always learning and adapting.
Yeah.
The more we understand how our brains work,
right,
the better we'll be able to navigate the world.
I agree.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of RAG, OP-RAG, and the Goldilocks zone of information, We want to leave you with this.
Okay.
Think about how you can apply these principles to your own life.
Of smart information retrieval.
Yeah, are you getting lost in the too much zone?
It's easy to do.
How can you be a more focused learner?
Right.
And get the most out of the info that you're taking in every day?
Those are great questions.
That's something we should all be thinking about.
It is.
In this age of information overload.
Absolutely.
And the answers we think we're all about being focused.
Yes.
Organized. And mindful.
Mindful about how we consume information.
This has been The Deep Dive.
It has.
Signing off. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
Keep exploring, keep learning.
Yes.
And keep diving deep.